Well, ladies and gentlemen, those that don't know her, we all love her and know her. She's a little piece of leather. She's well put together. She's a fantastic lady. I love it. She was in the locksmith business and decided, you know what, I'm tired of this locksmith business. She found out she'd make more money talking, and she decided to go for it. She went on to once Tony Cooper said, "Listen, I need you to come and love it. Will you? Can you come?" And she said, "I didn't know nobody. I just decided to put things together." And she just went out there and just did it. And I love her. She's always been an entrepreneur at heart, and she's always been what. And I like people like her because they're called go getters. They don't let nothing stop them. Nothing stop them. And without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to this week to the one and only regional director, Miss Roxann Corralejo.
Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, as always, I want to give it back to Mr. Thomas. Man, to be known as a taco lady is kind of funny. But I just know that you, everybody, we all know you as someone that has just had a massive amount of success. And one of the biggest things that how you were able to do that is your servitude. So not everybody we know on this call is part of Mr. Thomas's team, yet he asks us every single day, who's got a lead, who's got a customer, who's got a PBR, a PBZ, a presentation, a new rep, who's got promotions. Why? Because he cares about our success. And that is so vital and important to his success, to be caring, to be out there. I know so many people that have done presentations for other people that are not in their business just to help out. And what that does is not only are you serving those people, but you're growing yourself as well. So that's a little bit part of my topic today about growing yourself. And we all learn that from Mr. Thomas. So thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I appreciate you. And man, I wasn't there in Turks and Caicos with you, but last week I talked about how we all claimed it. We said it. We're going to be Escardet with you next year. So that is the plan. Everyone said they were in. So I expect us all to be there with you. So good morning, everybody. I wanted to and I'm so glad I saw Mr. Williamson on the call today. I see him right there front and center, because what my topic today is kind of streaming off what he talked about on Sunday. So at Sunday, we do a little rally call and have a quick little leadership that we discuss. And what Mr. Williamson's topic was fueling your tank. And, you know, one thing I love about ACN is that it's always, for me and for most people, has been a personal and professional growth tool with a compensation package attached to it. And in the past 6 years I've been a part of ACN, I have learned and grown more about myself and professionally in the past 6 years than I have my entire adult life. And it's just because the environment and all the leadership and everything that we have available to us. So his topic that he discussed very briefly was fueling that tank and always feeding your mind, you know, with books and your readings and attending leadership, which you guys all do here, but also attending events. But not only attending, but being active, being proactive, putting that information and implementing it into our everyday lives. But sometimes I know for me, when I hear something, the information that I absorb is always different based on my time in my life at that moment. And so every time I hear a topic, I'm always taking notes. I write down a name of who I'm thinking of or how I can help someone better or do something different. I always write that in my notes. I always have my notes. And so when I go back and I review these topics, I'm like, man, I know how that topic helped me overcome that situation. And now there's a different situation that I could utilize that topic for. So being really big in personal and professional development, his topic on fueling that tank definitely resonated different for me than I think it did with a lot of other people and people that are just fairly new to ACN. So for me, he did not know this, but as we were talking earlier that day, I was actually driving and kind of had a little sense of anxiety. And I did mention it when he went over that topic, is fueling the tank is probably my most toxic trait. Not the way he was discussing it, though. So the reason why I say that is because I'm always on the go, always busy, just always got stuff going on. And I have on my car the reading that tells me how many miles it goes to empty, because I don't trust that little thing. I don't know how close it is to E. But it never fails. That thing always hits 0 miles to empty. It never fails, because I know I've gone 20 miles at 0 miles to empty, so it lies to me. So that, with most people that are in my car, they have the biggest anxiety with me if I'm driving other people's car and I see Robert Williams just laughing hilariously because either I'm sure you can relate personally or you've been with someone that has been like that. And that's me. I am always, my tank is just running down and I wait to that very last minute to fuel it up. But why? So as he's talking about fueling the tank and knowledge and all this stuff, that's natural for me. That's something I go through every single day. But what I took away from it is confidence. Fueling your confidence tank. Excuse me. So that was my takeaway. And I started thinking of not only personally, which is that's my personal life, not my professional life of running my tank on E, but personally and professionally, but also my team. So what I started thinking of is why I allow that to happen, because I have confidence. Because when I first started driving and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a quarter of a tank, I got to fill it up. Oh my gosh, I have a quarter of a tank, I got to fill it up. Well, I have an eighth of a tank, I got to fill it up. And so as it got closer to that E, I started gaining more confidence that I can make it to the next gas station, and also my surroundings where I am. I know I have a gas station every few miles. Or if I'm traveling, I know I need to stop because it's going to be 20, 30 miles for the next gas station. If you know anything about Texas, man, it could be 50 minutes before you hit like a real gas station. There might be one small town and out of nowhere it's closed. It's so random. So you have to know your surroundings, but you have to have that confidence about it, about what you can do. So over the years, my confidence just grew and grew and grew. And then once I hit 0 miles, I started testing that out and see how far I can get on 0 miles. So I'm like, wait, I got one more stop. It's only 7 miles away. Let me go there. Man, I have another appointment. That was only 5 miles away. Let me go there. And I'm traveling on 0. So what I want you to take away from this conversation is that confidence, and everything that Mr. Williamson talked about in his leadership conversation about feeding your mind, about the books we read, about attending events, attending leaderships, just being on this call. This is the stuff that helps build your confidence. So it's not only the stuff that we learn, but it's also building who you are to go out there and do different things. So we just had our Lake Tahoe event a few weeks ago. And unfortunately, I had a bunch of people on my team that went, which I just absolutely loved. But it was at the peak of my sickness and I just could not make it. The night before I had to cancel, and you guys have no idea how hard that was for me. That broke my heart, but I was like, man, I can't even stay awake. Like, I am not going to be any benefit to my team just to be there. And I'm not going to be any benefit for them if I continue to get to be sick. So I needed some healing. So I just said, you know what, I can't make it. But to hear, and I reached out to everybody and I was asking them what they took away from it. And one person who's always on this call, Trish Guzman, she's phenomenal, love her to death. ACN definitely pushes her every single day out of her comfort level. And she took that upon herself. And I see it. I see her squirming, but she's never, ever said no to me. She's never said, I can't do that. She's never said she was scared. She always said yes, but you can hear that hesitation in her voice. And I always saw it and I pushed her respectfully. I didn't try to push her too much. And I always asked her, I said, hey, would you mind? Could you please help us out and do a testimony today? Would you mind? Could you help us out? And she always said absolutely. And I could tell she was always pushing herself. But she was able to attend South Lake Tahoe. When she attended South Lake Tahoe, one of her biggest takeaways, she said, all the events, for those of you that have been there, it's just a phenomenal event. We do role playing and your presentations get better. Your objection handling gets better. You start taking more responsibility for what's going on in your business or what's not going on in your business, and stop blaming everybody else, whether it's ACN, the services, your team, whatever it is. And those are the things that help us grow. But her biggest takeaway wasn't any single one event. And what really stood out to me and I loved was the fact she said, you know what, Roxann, my biggest takeaway is my confidence. The confidence that being at this event, doing that role playing, doing all those things, I came home 10 times more confident. So she actually brought it up to my attention when I asked her to do a testimony on how the reason why she attended South Lake Tahoe and her coming back and what she implemented. She said, absolutely, yes. There was no hesitation. So I've been working with her for a few months, and anytime I asked her to do anything, there was hesitation. You can tell she was nervous. I could tell she was so much more confident. She said, "Yes, I got it. What do you want me to say?" And she was all over from attending one event at South Lake Tahoe, you guys. So this is how not fueling our tank isn't always about knowledge, but it's about our growth and our personal development. And I want to put hats off to you, Trish, every single day. Please don't cry, but every single day improving yourself. And I love that you get out of your comfort zone. I was earlier this week, saw a reel of someone that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't think I have enough time, so I'm just going to give you guys kind of the highlights of it. But this woman was walking, and she was videotaping this other woman on a yoga mat on the floor on a busy like sidewalk intersection, and people are walking around her and everybody's looking at her weird, and she's just laying there. And the woman walks up to her. She goes, "Hey, I'm sorry. I have to ask, what are you doing?" She's laying on the sidewalk in everybody's way. And she said she was reading something that how to get out of your comfort zone. I don't remember the name of the book or what she was reading. And the author was talking about how to get out of your comfort zone to do something where everybody's going to look at you weird. Do something that's going to stand out. And one of the examples he said is lay down in the middle of a walkway and just see what people do, see what people say. And she asked her, she goes, "Oh, wow. And how does that feel?" She says, "It's horrible." The lady on the floor, she's like, "It's horrible." He says to do it 7 minutes, and she had her phone in her hand, and she's like, "I'm counting down every single second because I want to get up. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I committed to 7 minutes of laying here." And everybody's walking around her, giving her weird looks, giving her nasty looks, talking about her. No one once stopped and asked her what she's doing, except this one lady, but everyone else that are passing by, they didn't ask her if she was okay. I felt like that would have been my first action. "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help? How can I help you? You need me to lay with you? What's going on here?" Would have been my very first reaction, is that something is wrong. But this lady took it upon her just to ask her, and she said, "You know what? I'm trying to develop and grow. And the number one thing is I have to get out of my comfort zone. I have to do stuff that is uncomfortable. This is unbelievably uncomfortable, but I'm doing it and I committed to it." And we talk about that all the time, about getting uncomfortable and going out and doing the work and piquing people and doing these presentations. But how about just getting uncomfortable in different things? Like Trish attending an event so far away, that was uncomfortable for her. And I want to challenge you guys this week, do something that's uncomfortable. Get out of your comfort zone, whatever it is. I heard years ago, and I don't even remember how or when, but someone said one thing to do to get out of your comfort zone: enter an elevator, walk in, stare at the back, and stay there. Don't turn around. Don't stare at the door. Why? Because it's out of the norm. People are going to talk to you. Guess what? It could open up conversation. And if they don't, you're still growing personally. But some people will ask you, "Hey, what are you doing? What's going on?" I know in Texas, people will. They'll ask you just because that's just who we are. We're always talking to everybody. But I know if I did that in California, if I went back home to California, nobody would say a word and look at me. And there'll probably be a big empty circle space around me. Everybody on one side of the elevator being like, "What's going on with this crazy woman?" But do something out of the norm. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. Do something to get people to stare at you, to talk about you. Because you know what? Those people that are going to walk up to you, those are the people you want to pique. We always talk about, I want to see someone, if everyone had an apple over their head, we know exactly who to talk to. Well, you know what? Those people that talk to you in those uncomfortable situations, those are those apples. Those are those people that aren't scared to go up and talk to people, aren't scared to go up and have those conversations. Those are the people we want. So what are you doing by getting yourself and being uncomfortable? You're sorting. Those people that are talking about you, creating that distance, just walking away, those are probably the people that we don't want to talk to. Those are probably the people that won't get out of their comfort zone in ACN. Those are probably those rotten or those green apples. We want those red apples. So do something this week, whatever you have to do, look up something and share it with me, share it with the group. Next week, I want to hear in the comments what you did to get out of your comfort zone, whatever it is. I know I've done that. I've done the elevator thing and it was really weird. But for me, it did strike up conversation. People asked me, and I talked about the personal development. "Oh, well, what do you do for a living?" There we go. There's an opportunity to bring up ACN. So, you guys, even though these topics that we talk about might not relate 100% to you, think about how it can. Because Mr. Williamson is a phenomenal leader. I value him so much, and the information, everything that he has to deliver. That topic that day about educating yourself and growing in books, that's something I do every day. And so it would have been easy for me to just kind of tune out, but I never tune out because there's always something that you can grab, you can absorb. And if you're not thinking of how can I grow from this information, how can I implement this in my life? I do the same thing in church when the pastor's going over something and it doesn't seem to pertain to my life, whatever it is. He's talking about a healthy and great marriage. I'm not married, But do I tune out? No. The tools that he's talking about, I can still implement in my life, how to grow personally, how to build those relationships. It might not be with a husband or a spouse, but it could be with friends, with family, my professional world. That's all he's talking about, is building relationships. So when Mr. Williamson talked about fueling the tank, and I'm like, man, I never fuel my tank. That's my gas tank. But because I have that confidence. And the more I do that, the more it builds my confidence, and you grow and you go farther. Now, I'm not telling y'all to run out of gas. Don't do it, because I don't. I don't run out of gas. My confidence level is there, but I'm not overconfident. So definitely fuel that tank, but test your limits. Get out of your comfort zone, and do not do something related to ACN and get out of your comfort zone. I'm going to challenge you. Do something completely random to get people to stare at you, whatever it is. Stand up in a chair and just yell in the middle of a room and say, Happy Tuesday, everybody, and just see what happens. Do something outlandish, do something out of your comfort zone. And I promise you, it will feel weird, but you will feel so great at the end. So that is my topic for today. I definitely I want to hand it back to you, Mr. Thomas, and thank you, because a lot of my confidence has come from you. Being able to do this and grow and develop continuously has built my confidence. Man, I got to go and look at my first recording. I bet you it probably wasn't that great as opposed to these recordings now. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for allowing myself and everyone else to grow.